Ladies and gentlemen, if you are enjoying my videos, please click the like button. It is the only way the YouTube algorithm really notices me. I would be very grateful to you. The Smiling Fog, A Face in White. Scary Story, published by Scare Fiction. Chapter 1. The Arrival. The old, rickety bus rumbled to a halt, its brakes hissing as it released a plume of exhaust into the chilly night air. Maya, a young journalist with a determined glint in her eyes, stepped off the bus and onto the deserted street of Fogwood. The fog hung thick in the air, casting an eerie pall over the town and shrouding everything in a ghostly haze. Maya pulled her coat tighter around her as she surveyed her surroundings. The buildings loomed ominously in the mist, their windows dark and empty. There was something unsettling about Fogwood, something that sent a shiver down Maya's soul. But she had a job to do, and she wasn't about to let a little fog scare her off. With a firm resolve, Maya set off down the deserted street, her footsteps echoing against the cobblestones. The fog seemed to swallow her up as she walked, enveloping her in its cold embrace. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, that unseen eyes followed her every move. Finally, Maya reached the town square, where an imposing clock tower stood sentinel over the deserted streets. The hands of the clock seemed frozen in time, pointing accusingly at Maya, as if warning her to turn back. But Maya ignored the silent admonition and pressed on. She made her way to the inn she had booked for her stay, the only source of light in the darkened town. The innkeeper greeted her with a wary smile, his eyes darting nervously around the empty lobby. "Welcome to Fogwood," he said, his voice tinged with unease. "I hope you find what you're looking for here." Maya nodded, her curiosity piqued by the innkeeper's cryptic words. She checked into her room and settled in for the night, her mind already buzzing with thoughts of the investigation ahead. As she lay in bed, the sound of the foghorn echoed in the distance, a mournful wail that seemed to pierce the very heart of Fogwood. Maya closed her eyes and drifted off to sleep, the mysteries of the town swirling around her like the fog outside her window. When she awoke the next morning, Maya was more determined than ever to uncover the truth behind the strange occurrences in Fogwood. With a steely resolve, she set out into the foggy streets, ready to face whatever horrors awaited her in the shadows. And so began Maya's journey into the heart of darkness, where the fog whispered secrets and the town of Fogwood held its breath, waiting for the truth to be revealed. Chapter 2. The Legend Unveiled. As Maya delved deeper into her investigation, she soon discovered that the town of Fogwood was steeped in a chilling legend, one that sent shivers down the body of even the bravest residents. It was a legend whispered in hushed tones, a tale of terror passed down through generations. The legend spoke of the Smiling Fog, a mysterious entity said to appear on foggy nights, cloaked in a swirling mist that seemed to materialize out of thin air. Those who encountered the Smiling Fog spoke of its ghastly grin, a twisted mockery of a smile that scared the body of anyone who dared to look upon it. Determined to uncover the truth behind the legend, Maya set out to interview the townsfolk of Fogwood. She sought out those who had encountered the Smiling Fog firsthand, eager to hear their stories and unravel the mystery that gripped the town in fear. Her first stop was the local tavern, a dimly lit establishment nestled on the edge of town. As Maya entered, the hushed conversations ceased, and all eyes turned to her. She could feel the weight of their gazes, the silent judgment of a town wary of outsiders. Undeterred, Maya approached the barkeep, a grizzled old man with a haunted look in his eyes. She introduced herself and explained her quest to uncover the truth behind the legend of the Smiling Fog. The barkeep regarded her with a mix of skepticism and resignation, before nodding slowly and motioning for her to take a seat. Over the course of the evening, Maya listened intently as the townsfolk shared their tales of terror. Each story was more chilling than the last, filled with encounters with the smiling fog that left those who survived scarred and haunted. One elderly woman spoke of seeing the smiling fog drift through the streets like a specter, its white-clad form barely visible through the swirling mist. Another recounted a tale of a lost child who wandered into the fog and was never seen again, swallowed up by the darkness that lurked within. As Maya listened, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the legend than met the eye. There were inconsistencies in the stories, details that didn't quite add up, but beneath the fear and superstition that gripped the town, Maya sensed a kernel of truth waiting to be uncovered. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, Maya continued her investigation late into the night. She pored over old newspaper clippings and dusty archives, searching for any mention of the smiling fog that might shed light on its origins. Finally, in the wee hours of the morning, Maya stumbled upon a clue, a faded journal tucked away in the corner of the town library. As she flipped through its pages, she uncovered a long-forgotten tale of tragedy and loss, a story that seemed to hold the key to unlocking the secrets of the smiling fog. With newfound determination, Maya set out to unravel the mystery that lay at the heart of Fogwood. Armed with the knowledge she had gleaned from the townsfolk and the clues she had uncovered in the journal, she was determined to uncover the truth behind the legend of the smiling fog, no matter the cost. And so, as the sun rose over Fogwood and the mist began to dissipate, Maya embarked on the next chapter of her journey, a journey that would take her deeper into the heart of darkness than she ever imagined possible. Chapter 3. Into the Fog. Maya's determination to uncover the truth behind the legend of the smiling fog led her deeper into the heart of darkness that gripped Fogwood. Armed with the leads she had gathered from her interviews with the townsfolk, she ventured into the fog-shrouded forest that surrounded the town, her footsteps echoing softly against the damp forest floor. The fog hung thick in the air, obscuring Maya's vision and enveloping her in a cold embrace as she pressed on. With each step she took, the whispers grew louder, their eerie cadence sending shivers down her body. It was as if the very forest itself was alive, murmuring secrets that only it could understand. Despite the disorienting fog, Maya pushed forward, her determination unwavering. She knew that she was close to uncovering the truth behind the legend, and she refused to let anything stand in her way. Suddenly, the whispers ceased, replaced by an eerie silence that seemed to stretch on forever. Maya felt a scare run down her body as she realized that she was no longer alone in the forest. There was someone or something watching her from the shadows. Heart pounding, Maya scanned the mist-shrouded trees, searching for any sign of movement. And then she saw it, a figure clad in white, its form barely visible through the swirling fog. Its face was hidden in shadow, but Maya could feel its eyes boring into her, filled with a malevolent energy that sent a shiver down her body. For a moment, Maya was frozen in place, unable to tear her gaze away from the figure in white. And then, as quickly as it had appeared, it was gone, disappearing into the mist without a trace. Determined to confront whatever lurked in the depths of the forest, Maya pressed on, her senses on high alert. With each step she took, the fog seemed to thicken, obscuring her vision and disorienting her senses. And then, just as Maya was beginning to doubt her own sanity, she saw it again, a flash of white amid the swirling mist. With a surge of adrenaline, Maya charged forward, determined to catch a glimpse of the figure before it disappeared once more. As she drew closer, Maya realized with a sinking feeling that the figure was not alone. There were others, dozens of them lurking in the shadows, their faces twisted into grotesque smiles that sent a scared Maya's body. With horror, Maya realized that she had stumbled upon something far more sinister than she had ever imagined. The legend of the smiling fog was real, and it was far more terrifying than anything she had ever encountered. With a sinking feeling in the pit of her stomach, Maya realized that she was in far over her head. But even as fear threatened to consume her, she knew that she could not turn back. She had come too far to give up now. And so, with a steely resolve, Maya plunged deeper into the heart of darkness, ready to face whatever horrors awaited her in the fog-shrouded forest. Little did she know that her journey was only just beginning, and that the true horrors of Fogwood were yet to be revealed. Chapter 4: Haunted Memories. As Maya delved deeper into her investigation of the smiling fog, she found herself plagued by vivid nightmares that seemed to seep into every corner of her mind. Each night, she would find herself trapped in a twisted dreamscape, haunted by the image of the sinister entity that lurked in the fog-shrouded forests of Fogwood. In her dreams, the smiling fog would materialize out of the swirling mist, its ghastly grin of fear, Maya's soul. It would stalk her through the darkness, its white-clad form barely visible in the dim light. No matter how fast Maya ran, she could never escape its grasp, trapped in a never-ending cycle of terror and despair. As the nightmares grew more frequent, Maya found it increasingly difficult to distinguish between reality and illusion. The line between her dreams and waking life began to blur, leaving her disoriented and vulnerable to the sinister forces that lurked in the shadows. During the day, Maya would wander the fog-shrouded streets of Fogwood, her mind consumed by the horrors that haunted her sleep. The townsfolk would cast wary glances in her direction, their voices hushed as they whispered tales of the cursed outsider who dared to delve too deep into the town's dark secrets. The warnings came from all sides: the townsfolk, the innkeeper, even the whispering wind itself, all urging Maya to abandon her investigation and flee Fogwood before it was too late. But Maya refused to heed their warnings. She was determined to uncover the truth behind the legend of the smiling fog, no matter the cost. With each passing day, Maya felt herself slipping further into madness, the nightmares becoming more vivid and terrifying with each sleepless night. But still, she pressed on, driven by a sense of duty and determination that bordered on obsession. And then, one fateful night, Maya's nightmares took a sinister turn. As she slept, she found herself trapped in a twisted dreamscape, unlike any she had experienced before. The smiling fog loomed over her, its ghastly grin filling her vision as it reached out with ghostly hands to drag her into the darkness. With a scream of terror, Maya jolted awake, her heart pounding in her chest. She was bathed in a cold sweat, her body trembling with fear. For a moment, she lay there in the darkness, her mind reeling from the horrors of her nightmare. But even as fear threatened to consume her, Maya knew that she could not turn back. She had come too far to abandon her investigation now. With a steely resolve, she pushed aside her fears and rose from her bed, ready to face whatever horrors awaited her in the fog-shrouded streets of Fogwood. And so, as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Maya set out once more into the heart of darkness, determined to uncover the truth behind the legend of the smiling fog, no matter the cost. Chapter 5: The Confrontation. As Maya ventured deeper into the heart of Fogwood, her determination to uncover the truth behind the legend of the smiling fog burned brighter than ever. With each step she took, she could feel the weight of the town's secrets pressing down on her, urging her forward into the darkness. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of searching, Maya found herself standing at the edge of the forest, the mist swirling ominously around her. She could sense that she was close to uncovering the truth, close to confronting the entity that lurked in the shadows. With a deep breath, Maya stepped into the fog-shrouded forest, her senses on high alert as she scanned her surroundings for any sign of the smiling fog. The air was thick with tension, the silence broken only by the sound of her own footsteps echoing against the damp forest floor. And then, suddenly, it was there, the smiling fog, materializing out of the swirling mist like a specter from the darkness. As she beheld the entity for the first time, its ghastly grin, her body trembled. For a moment, Maya stood frozen in place, her heart pounding in her chest. But then, with a steely resolve, she stepped forward, confronting the entity with a determination born of months of relentless pursuit. "Why are you here?" Maya demanded, her voice echoing through the mist. The smiling fog regarded her with its eerie grin, its eyes glinting with an otherworldly intelligence. "I am here to fulfill my purpose," it replied, its voice a whisper on the wind. "And what purpose is that?" Maya pressed, her gaze never wavering from the entity's unsettling visage. The smiling fog spoke in cryptic riddles, its words dancing on the edge of Maya's understanding. It spoke of darkness and light, of life and death, weaving a tapestry of enigma and intrigue that left Maya with more questions than answers. But despite the entity's elusive nature, Maya refused to back down. She demanded answers, determined to uncover the truth behind the legend that had haunted Fogwood for generations. As the confrontation stretched on, Maya felt a sense of unease creeping over her. There was something about the smiling fog, something that she couldn't quite put her finger on. It was as if the entity was toying with her, leading her down a path of uncertainty and doubt. But Maya was undeterred. With a firm resolve, she continued to press the entity for answers, determined to unravel the mystery that lay at the heart of Fogwood. And though the road ahead was shrouded in darkness, Maya knew that she would not rest until the truth was revealed. Chapter 6. Descent into Madness. With each passing day, Maya found herself slipping further into the grip of madness. The encounter with the smiling fog had left her reeling, her mind awash with a torrent of cryptic messages and haunting visions that seemed to follow her wherever she went. Try as she might, Maya struggled to make sense of the entity's enigmatic words. They echoed in her mind like a haunting melody, their meaning just beyond her grasp. She found herself consumed by an overwhelming sense of dread, the boundary between truth and illusion becoming increasingly blurred. As the days turned into weeks, Maya's grip on reality grew ever more tenuous. She would find herself lost in a haze of confusion, unable to distinguish between what was real and what was merely a figment of her imagination. The whispers of the smiling fog haunted her every waking moment, their sinister cadence a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked within. Haunted by visions of the smiling fog, Maya found herself descending further into the depths of madness with each passing day. She would see the entity lurking in the shadows, its ghastly grin sending shivers down her body. It was as if the fog itself had come to life, reaching out to ensnare her in its icy embrace. The townsfolk watched in silent horror as Maya's descent into madness unfolded before their eyes. They whispered tales of the cursed outsider who had dared to confront the smiling fog, their voices filled with fear and superstition. Some urged Maya to flee Fogwood before it was too late, while others simply averted their gaze, unwilling to bear witness to the darkness that had consumed her. But Maya refused to abandon her investigation. She was determined to uncover the truth behind the legend of the smiling fog, no matter the cost. And so, despite the warnings of the townsfolk and the creeping tendrils of madness that threatened to consume her, she pressed on. With each step she took, Maya could feel the darkness closing in around her, its icy tendrils reaching out to drag her into the abyss. But still, she refused to yield. She would confront the smiling fog once more, she vowed, and this time she would not rest until she had uncovered the truth. And so, as the fog descended once more upon the streets of Fogwood, Maya set out into the darkness, her mind consumed by a single, unrelenting purpose. Little did she know that the true horrors of Fogwood were yet to be revealed, and that her descent into madness was only just beginning. Chapter 7. The Unveiling. As Maya delved deeper into her investigation, she began to uncover a dark secret that had been buried beneath the surface of Fogwood for generations. Piece by piece, she unraveled the tangled web of lies and deceit that had shrouded the town in darkness, revealing the true nature of the smiling fog and the horrors that lay hidden within its depths. It began with a single clue, a faded photograph tucked away in the corner of an old newspaper. As Maya studied the image, her heart sank. It was a picture of a group of children, their faces twisted in fear as they huddled together in the dim light of a flickering lantern. And standing in the background, obscured by shadows, was the unmistakable figure of the smiling fog. With a sinking feeling in the pit of her stomach, Maya realized that the legend of the smiling fog was not merely a myth, but a horrifying reality. The entity had been haunting Fogwood for generations, its malevolent presence lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. Determined to uncover the truth, Maya pieced together clues from her investigation, connecting the entity to a tragic event from the town's past. She discovered that decades earlier, a group of children had gone missing in the fog-shrouded forests surrounding Fogwood, their bodies never found. It was rumored that they had encountered the smiling fog, and that their souls now wandered the mist-shrouded streets of the town, forever trapped in its icy embrace. But as Maya delved deeper into the mystery, she realized that the truth was far more horrifying than she had ever imagined. The smiling fog was not merely a malevolent force seeking vengeance. It was a manifestation of the town's darkest secrets, a living embodiment of the sins of its past. With each revelation, Maya felt a fear down her soul. The town of Fogwood was built on a foundation of lies and deceit, its streets haunted by the ghosts of those who had been wronged. And at the heart of it all was the smiling fog, a sinister entity that fed on the fear and suffering of the town's residents. But even as Maya uncovered the truth, she knew that her journey was far from over. The smiling fog still lurked in the shadows, its icy grip tightening with each passing moment. And Maya realized that if she was to put an end to its reign of terror, she would need to confront the entity head-on, no matter the cost. With a steely resolve, Maya set out into the fog-shrouded streets of Fogwood, her mind consumed by a single, unrelenting purpose. The time had come to confront the smiling fog and put an end to its reign of terror, once and for all. And as she stood on the threshold of darkness, Maya knew that the true battle had only just begun. Chapter 8. Race Against Time. With the chilling truth of the smiling fog's origins revealed, Maya knew that she was in a race against time to stop the entity from unleashing its wrath upon the unsuspecting town of Fogwood. The clock was ticking, and with each passing moment, the fog thickened and the night grew darker, heralding the approach of a final showdown between light and darkness. Gathering her courage, Maya sought out a few brave allies who were willing to stand by her side in the face of imminent danger. Together, they formulated a plan to confront the smiling fog head-on and put an end to its reign of terror once and for all. As the fog descended upon the streets of Fogwood, Maya and her allies prepared for the final showdown. Their hearts beat in unison, their minds focused on the task ahead as they braced themselves for the inevitable confrontation with the malevolent entity that lurked in the shadows. With each step they took, the tension in the air grew thicker, the weight of their impending battle pressing down on them like a leaden cloak. But Maya refused to let fear hold her back. She had come too far to turn back now, and she was determined to see her mission through to the end. As they ventured deeper into the fog-shrouded streets of Fogwood, Maya's senses were on high alert, every nerve tingling with anticipation. She could feel the presence of the smiling fog lurking just beyond a veil of mist, its malevolent gaze fixed upon them, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And then, suddenly, it was there, the smiling fog, materializing out of the swirling mist like a phantom from the darkness. Maya's heart skipped a beat as she beheld the entity once more, its ghastly grin sending shivers down her soul. But Maya refused to back down. With a steely resolve, she and her allies charged forward, their weapons drawn and their minds focused on the task at hand. The smiling fog recoiled at their approach, its icy tendrils lashing out in a desperate bid to defend itself. But Maya and her allies were undeterred. With each strike, they forced the entity back, driving it further into the depths of the fog-shrouded streets. They fought with all their strength, their determination unyielding as they pressed forward, inch by inch, toward their ultimate goal. And then, just when it seemed that all hope was lost, Maya saw a glimmer of light shining through the darkness. With a surge of adrenaline, she redoubled her efforts, striking with all her might as she pushed forward, determined to banish the darkness once and for all. As the fog began to dissipate and the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Maya and her allies stood victorious, the smiling fog vanquished at last. They had triumphed over the darkness, their courage and determination shining like a beacon of hope in the night. And as they surveyed the town of Fogwood, bathed in the soft light of dawn, Maya knew that their victory was not just a triumph over the smiling fog, but a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable darkness. And though the scars of their battle would remain forever etched in their memories, they had emerged victorious, ready to face whatever challenges the future might hold. Chapter 9. With the smiling fog vanquished from the streets of Fogwood, Maya and her allies knew that their task was far from over. They had banished the entity for now, but they knew that it would not be long before it returned, seeking vengeance for its defeat. And so, with a heavy heart and a steely resolve, they set out to perform a ritual that would banish the smiling fog from Fogwood once and for all. Gathering in the town square, Maya and her allies began the ancient ritual, their voices raised in a chorus of incantations that echoed through the mist-shrouded streets. They called upon the forces of light and darkness, invoking the power of the elements to aid them in their quest. As they chanted, the air crackled with energy, the very fabric of reality seeming to warp and shift around them. Maya could feel the power of the ritual coursing through her veins, filling her with a sense of purpose and determination unlike anything she had ever experienced before. But even as they performed the ritual, Maya knew that their task would not be easy. The smiling fog was a formidable foe, and it would stop at nothing to reclaim its hold over the town of Fogwood. They would have to face off against the entity in a harrowing battle between light and darkness, a battle that would test their strength, their courage, and their resolve. As the ritual reached its climax, Maya and her allies braced themselves for the inevitable confrontation. They could feel the presence of the smiling fog lurking just beyond a veil of mist, its malevolent energy pulsing like a heartbeat in the darkness. And then, with a deafening roar, the smiling fog descended upon them, its icy tendrils reaching out to ensnare them in its grasp. Maya and her allies fought back with all their strength, their weapons flashing in the dim light, as they clashed with the entity in a desperate bid to banish it from Fogwood once and for all. But just when victory seemed within reach, the smiling fog unleashed its full power, threatening to consume them all. Maya could feel the darkness closing in around her, its suffocating embrace threatening to snuff out the light forever. With a surge of adrenaline, Maya pushed back against the darkness, her determination unwavering even in the face of overwhelming odds. She knew that they could not give up now, not after everything they had been through. They had come too far to turn back, and they would see their mission through to the end, no matter the cost. And so, with a final, desperate effort, Maya and her allies pushed back against the smiling fog, their voices raised in a defiant cry of defiance. With a deafening roar, the entity was banished from Fogwood once and for all, its malevolent presence vanishing into the mist like a whisper on the wind. As the fog began to dissipate, and the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Maya and her allies stood victorious, their hearts filled with a sense of triumph, unlike anything they had ever experienced before. They had faced off against the darkness and emerged victorious, their courage and determination shining like a beacon of hope in the night. And as they surveyed the town of Fogwood, bathed in the soft light of dawn, Maya knew that their battle was finally over. They had banished the smiling fog from the streets of Fogwood, and though the scars of their battle would remain forever etched in their memories, they had emerged victorious, ready to face whatever challenges the future might hold. Chapter 10: Sacrifice. As the battle against the smiling fog reached its climax, Maya realized that victory would come at a price too great to bear. With her friends and the town of Fogwood at risk, she knew that she had to make a heartbreaking decision, one that would change the course of her life forever. With a heavy heart and tears in her eyes, Maya made the ultimate sacrifice. She knew that she could not defeat the smiling fog alone, but she also knew that her friends and the town depended on her to save them from its malevolent grasp. And so, with a steely resolve, she made the decision to confront the entity alone, offering herself as a vessel to contain its dark energy. As she stood before the smiling fog, Maya could feel its malevolent gaze boring into her soul. But she refused to back down. With every fiber of her being, she willed herself to be strong, to be brave, to be the hero that Fogwood needed. "Take me," Maya whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "I offer myself to you, so that my friends and the town may be spared." The smiling fog regarded her with its eerie grin, its eyes glittering with a mixture of amusement and malice. "Very well," it replied, its voice a whisper on the wind. "Your sacrifice will not be in vain." With a surge of dark energy, the smiling fog enveloped Maya, its icy tendrils wrapping around her like a shroud. She could feel its malevolent presence seeping into every fiber of her being, threatening to consume her from within. But Maya refused to give in to despair. With every ounce of strength she possessed, she fought back against the darkness, refusing to let it overcome her. She could feel her friends and the town depending on her, their hopes and dreams riding on her shoulders. And then, just when it seemed that all hope was lost, Maya felt a surge of power unlike anything she had ever experienced before. It was as if a fire had been ignited within her, burning away the darkness and filling her with a sense of purpose and determination. With a triumphant cry, Maya unleashed the full force of her newfound power, pushing back against the smiling fog with all her might. The entity recoiled at her onslaught, its ghastly form writhing in agony as Maya's light pierced through the darkness. And then, in a blinding flash of light, the smiling fog was banished from Fogwood once and for all. As the fog cleared and dawn broke over the horizon, Maya's sacrifice brought an end to the entity's reign of terror, leaving the town bathed in the soft light of a new day. As Maya stood alone in the aftermath of the battle, she knew that her sacrifice had not been in vain. Though she had given up everything she held dear, she had saved her friends and the town from a fate worse than death. And as she looked out over the streets of Fogwood, she knew that her journey was far from over. For though the smiling fog had been banished, the scars of their battle would remain forever etched in her memory, a reminder of the price of heroism and the power of sacrifice. Chapter 11. Aftermath. The town of Fogwood lay in the wake of the battle, its streets silent and still as the residents struggled to come to terms with the horrors that had unfolded in their midst. Everywhere you looked, there were signs of the struggle, the shattered remnants of buildings, the scorched earth, the lingering scent of smoke in the air. It was a scene of devastation, a stark reminder of the price of heroism and the cost of sacrifice. In the days that followed, the residents of Fogwood gathered to mourn the loss of those who had fallen in the battle against the smiling fog. They paid tribute to Maya, the brave young journalist who had sacrificed herself to save them all, honoring her memory as an act of heroism that would never be forgotten. But even as they mourned, they could not shake the feeling of emptiness that hung over the town like a pall. Maya's absence left a void in the hearts of those she left behind, a sense of loss that seemed to echo through the streets of Fogwood with each passing moment. For Maya had been more than just a hero. She had been a friend, a confidant, a beacon of hope in a town consumed by darkness. Her presence had brought light to the darkest corners of their world, her courage inspiring them to stand tall in the face of adversity. And now, with her gone, they were left to pick up the pieces and rebuild their shattered lives without her. It was a daunting task, to be sure, but one that they knew they had to undertake if they were to honor Maya's memory and the sacrifices she had made on their behalf. Slowly but surely, life began to return to normal in Fogwood. The scars of the battle began to fade, replaced by signs of renewal and growth. Townsfolk worked together to rebuild what had been destroyed, their spirits buoyed by the knowledge that they had survived the darkest chapter in their town's history. But even as they moved forward, the memory of the smiling fog lingered like a ghost in the fog, a constant reminder of the horrors that had unfolded in their midst. They knew that they could never truly forget the darkness that had threatened to consume them, nor the bravery of those who had stood against it. And so, as the fog began to lift and the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, the residents of Fogwood looked to the future with a sense of hope and determination. Though their journey had been long and fraught with peril, they knew that they had emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. And as they stood together, united in their determination to rebuild and move forward, they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them head-on, secure in the knowledge that they had the strength and courage to overcome anything that stood in their way. Chapter 12. Epilogue. Years had passed since the fateful day when Maya made her ultimate sacrifice to banish the smiling fog from the town of Fogwood. The memory of that harrowing battle still lingered in the minds of the townsfolk, a reminder of the darkness that had once threatened to consume them all. Life had slowly returned to normal in Fogwood, but the scars of their ordeal remained etched in their hearts. As the years went by, the town began to heal, its wounds slowly fading with the passage of time. The streets once again bustled with life, the laughter of children echoing through the air as they played in the town square. But amid the sounds of joy and laughter, there lingered a sense of unease, a nagging fear that the darkness that had once plagued Fogwood might one day return. And then, one fateful day, a new journalist arrived in Fogwood, drawn by rumors of the smiling fog's return. His name was Jacob, a young man with a determined glint in his eyes and a burning curiosity that drove him to uncover the truth behind the town's dark past. As Jacob made his way through the fog-shrouded streets of Fogwood, he could feel the weight of history pressing down on him. The town seemed to hold its breath as he passed, its buildings looming ominously in the mist, their windows dark and empty. There was something unsettling about Fogwood, something that a shiver down Jacob's body. But he refused to be deterred. With a firm resolve, Jacob set out to uncover the truth behind the rumors that had drawn him to Fogwood in the first place. He spoke to the townsfolk, piecing together clues from their whispered tales of the smiling fog's return. And with each passing day, he felt himself drawn deeper into the heart of darkness that lurked within Fogwood's shadowed streets. And then, one foggy evening, as Jacob ventured into the forest outside of town, he caught a glimpse of a familiar figure watching from the shadows, a figure clad in white, its ghastly grin sending shivers down his soul. It was the smiling fog, returned to claim its rightful place as the harbinger of doom in Fogwood once again. As the fog rolled in around him, Jacob felt a scared down his body. He knew that he was standing on the threshold of something dark and sinister, something that threatened to consume him whole. But he refused to back down. With a steely resolve, he confronted the entity, demanding answers about its origins and intentions. But the smiling fog spoke only in cryptic riddles, leaving Jacob with more questions than answers. And as he stood face to face with the entity, he knew that the battle for Fogwood's soul was far from over. The darkness had returned, and it was up to Jacob to uncover the truth behind the legend of the smiling fog and put an end to its reign of terror once and for all. And so, as the fog closed in around him and the night grew darker, Jacob prepared for the final showdown, knowing that the fate of Fogwood hung in the balance. For though the scars of their past may never fully heal, the people of Fogwood were ready to face whatever darkness lay ahead, united in their determination to protect their home from the horrors that lurked in the shadows.